But to get back to your question, starting in 2006, democracy was again restored. It was interesting when Paul was mentioning the democratic elections, he didn't mention the 2006 elections, which is might as being one of the democratic ones. I think it is ambiguous. I think there were lots of good things about it, especially the presidential election. There are lots of ways it was not democratic, especially the parliamentary elections. But Haiti's been kind of back into a democratic transition. You have a generally considered to be an elected president. One of the problems is that the elected president, and this is when you're talking to people on the street, they elected him based on a very progressive political platform to provide health care, to provide education, to establish the government services that we all fortunately take for granted in the United States. And he's governing far to the right of that. And in part of that's because he thinks he needs to please the people in Haiti that planned the last coup. But also I think a large part of it is he thinks he needs to please the United States. Hopefully what he needs to please the United States changed quite a bit on Tuesday. We'll find out, and I think it's extremely important for the Obama administration to make a clean break. The Obama administration has said over and over that it's time to make a clean break with the past and the failed past policies, and nowhere else have the policies have failed as badly as they have in Haiti over the last 8 years. And I think the Obama administration needs to step up to the plate and say, we're really changing things in Haiti, and to say from the very beginning that they're going to accept the democratically elected officials of Haiti, whether they like those officials personally, whether they like those policies or not. We're going to say we're respecting the rules of the democratic game. And if that happens, I think Haiti's got a great opportunity to move forward, just as it did from 1994 to 2004. And I can talk from the justice standpoint. Paul can talk a lot of things. That Haiti was ahead of almost every other country on a lot of AIDS and infectious diseases. It had, when we take for granted, and many of us breathed a sigh of relief on Tuesday when there was a transfer of power from an elected president to another elected president. That's only happened twice in Haiti. And that happened in 1996 and then again in 2001. And we need to make sure that happens again the next election and every election after that.
On that issue of justice in Haiti and the justice, just the whole area of justice there, their courts, how does it operate now? And what do you think? How can they be supported in what they're doing?
That's a very good question and a very important one. They say if you've got a hammer in your hand, every problem looks like a nail. And if you've got a lawyer's license, every problem looks like a legal problem. But if you look at the roots of Haiti's problems, a lot of the roots do go back to the justice system. And even the hurricanes, which obviously you can't do a lawsuit against a hurricane coming in, but the damage from the hurricanes, Cuba got hit much worse by the hurricanes than Haiti did. The damage was a tiny percentage of it because they have trees, because they have a civil defense. And one of the reasons why Haiti doesn't have trees, and part of it's economic, that people are forced to cut down trees to eat that night. But another part is legal. There are laws against cutting down trees, and you certainly can't enforce it against someone who's starving to death, but you can enforce it against commercial loggers, and it's not being enforced. If you look at those buildings that collapsed, school buildings that collapsed in October, and it was horrible, over 100 school kids died, that to a large extent is a failure of the law. And so the basic problem with Haiti's justice system is, for most of Haiti's history, over 350 years going back to the slavocracy, the justice system has developed to please whoever's in power, which was mostly dictatorships. And it tends to respond to whoever's got the guns and the money, not the majority of people in Haiti who have neither guns nor money. And one of the things that we were able to do, again, between 1994 and 2004, was to force open the courthouse doors. You need to do we certainly did not change the system to become completely responsive, but there were lots of programs to train judges. There were programs to build up courthouses, to get them books, just kind of basic nuts and bolts things that make the difference between having a dictatorship justice system and a democratic justice system. And it really worked. Again, we showed, as part of this, showing that a bayonet is steel and a constitution is paper. Once that coup happened in 2004, all that work got erased. Everybody who was in jail legitimately got let out, and the jail cells were refilled with political prisoners because we had a dictatorship, and that was just going back to what the previous dictatorships had done. And also, I mean, the dictatorship, this wasn't something that sort of just happened in a foreign country. We took Haiti's president out, and we put in a guy who was literally a talk show host in Boca Raton, Florida, and a George Bush supporter, and we said, okay, you're prime minister, and you're running the country.
And he was?
Gerard Latortue was his name. He's back in South Florida, and as you mentioned, accountability. I mean, there certainly is a need to prosecute him. There's also a need to go after, and this is something that I know is controversial throughout the Obama administration in terms of how much we're going to go after the Bush administration or people who were involved in criminal activity in the Bush administration. I think it's certainly important to go after the people in the Bush administration who were involved in the kidnapping of President Aristide. There's certainly reasons to say, well, a lot of people are saying, well, we need to move on to do positive things and we can't get mired in the past. The problem with that, and this is certainly what everybody in Haiti is thinking, is if you don't punish people for acting illegally, they're going to do it again. And so as long as those misdeeds go unpunished, people are going to do them again.
There is a man who's here in jail, but not because of the number of people he killed in Haiti, Emmanuel Constant, who ultimately was really protected here under several administrations and was imprisoned only because he got involved with a mortgage scam.
Yeah, he was convicted of mortgage fraud. And actually the irony of it, and I spent years trying to get him deported so he could face justice in Haiti. His name is Emmanuel Constant. He was the head of FRAP, which was the biggest death squad in Haiti between 1991 and 1994. And we actually convicted him in a case in 2004. And we spent all this time trying to get him back to Haiti to face justice. We convicted him in absentia. And it wasn't until he got arrested on a mortgage fraud and he was looking at real serious time that then the federal government came in, and the Department of Homeland Security came to his trial in New York, or to his hearings, and said to the judge, oh, we think you should give him this real sweetheart plea deal where time served he gets to leave so he can go back to Haiti. And the only reason why they did it was because they knew that the Haitian justice system was no longer capable of retaining him. Fortunately, and this is another good sign of grassroots pressure, we worked with the Center for Constitutional Rights in New York, which does a lot of great work on Haiti and other issues, to put political pressure but also legal pressure. We gave legal briefs and other information about what Mr. Constant had done in Haiti, and the judge agreed with us. He went against the recommendation of the Department of Homeland Security and the New York State prosecutor and said, I'm throwing out this plea deal, we're going to trial. And he's now got, I think, a 12-year sentence, which should certainly give the Haitian justice system time to get ready to give him the welcome he deserves.
He had been on the payroll of the CIA.
Yeah, the reason why he was protected was he'd been on the payroll of the CIA, and in fact, he was actually ordered deported in 1994. And Linda was talking about deportations of Haitians. Normally, before a deportation order, ink is dry, the Haitians are back in Haiti. And this guy was allowed to stay for 10 years because he was a CIA asset, because his death squad activities were actually done with the advice and the consent of our intelligence community.